So we have been talking about the Four Noble Truths. That's a very basic concept, but that's a concept that everybody should know about. The Four Noble Truths. That's the first time when Buddha turned the Dharma wheel. In other words, the first lecture, almost the first lecture according to the Theravada school, the first lecture given by the Buddha was the Four Noble Truths. Suffering in the Sanskrit language is dukkha, suffering. This world is dominated by suffering. There's no denying that this world is a world of suffering. You can't deny it because sickness is suffering, death is suffering, lots of suffering, natural disasters. And so the Buddha pointed out that this world is a world of suffering. Now, and then the Buddha said, that's the second noble truth. The origination of this suffering. What are the causes of this suffering? The Buddha tried to analyze causes of this suffering for us. And the causes of this suffering is greediness, aversion, and hatred. You know, there's details in it, but we're not going to get into details. So, suffering, causes of suffering. And the Buddha said that is a way to stop the suffering, cessation of suffering. And then finally, the Buddha said, there's a way to stop suffering, and when the suffering is stopped, you enter into a stage where there's no suffering at all. So it's suffering, causes of suffering, cessation of suffering, a method to stop the suffering. So you have to understand this. If you don't understand, it's just like for a patient is sick. When the doctor is checking on the patient, the doctor's got to make sure that that's the sickness, what are the causes of the sickness, the diagnosis of the sickness, method to cure, to heal the sickness. So you got to know all these things before you go on. Nothing about blind worshiping, nothing about just believing and superstitiously believing in the Buddha and that's it. The Buddha will give you all the blessings in the world as long as you worship and believe in him. Not that simple. You have to analyze your own life. It's your life. So you have to know the Four Noble Truths. Of course, we elaborated on the Four Noble Truths for 2 weeks, for a long time. So we're not going to touch on it again. Otherwise, we can't carry on. And the second concept that we all should know, given that we understand the Four Noble Truths, we go into the next step. Because this method to end suffering, what are these methods? Very obviously, there are eight generally methods for us to stop suffering. What are these 8 methods? These 8 methods are the Noble Eightfold Path. What are these Noble Eightfold Path? Well, Eightfold Path is right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. You've got to have these 8 paths walking towards the common goal of cessation of suffering. You've got to know all this. Very basic concept. Not just worshiping, prostration, burning your incense. I remember I had just started on right understanding. But since this is the first time when I'm back, it's good to just have a general review of what the right understanding is all about. And as I said, right understanding is to understand Four Noble Truths. And also understand the doctrine of karma, causation, moral causation. Well, a few days ago, last week, and so the fact that actually causation, you understand causation. There was a lady who came for meditation the other day, and before meditation, as you know, we opened doors. We opened all the doors and opened the back doors. When we were circumambulating, when we were walking, we opened doors. Why do we open doors? We open doors because we want to have free air circulation so that we have more oxygen. And for the next 1 hour, we close our doors for meditation so that we still have some oxygen and fresh air in here. So the lady was sitting in here, And everybody was walking, and she didn't want to walk. She is a first-time comer. And so I said, and also she was sitting on a cushion and crouching in there, like this position, crouching in there and doing this, Everybody's walking and doing this. The doors were wide open. And so I said, before you meditate, it's best to put your legs down. Don't sit on the cushion because we haven't started the meditation as yet. And why did you open all the doors? Well, I said, before meditation, we need to have some fresh air in here. And then she was pondering. And so I left her and I kept on walking. And she put up her coat and she left. And later I learned that she was driving all the way from Langley. All the way from Langley, almost 1.5 hours, and going back another 1.5 hours, 3 hours. And she'd been trying to meditate for a long time, and it wasn't successful. So, causation. What is causation? All the causes put together so that you establish an opportunity for yourself to do something. That's causation. If you don't have causation, you never have something established. So imagine if that lady is leaving, and where would she go to? She was driving back and stopped by a McDonald's and eat some breakfast, and going back again and doing regular rigmaroles of what she's been doing, and she missed all this opportunity of learning Buddha's teaching. So causation is very important, and you have to, that's why we said we have to cultivate your seeds. Usually, if we look at our life on a temporal basis, on a worldly basis, your success or your failure in everything you're doing depends on what? Depends a lot on your personality. So there's a Chinese saying that says, whether you're successful or not, all depends on your personality. Your personality depends on whether you will be successful or not. If your personality is you have no sense of tolerance, you can't even tolerate 5 minutes of opening doors, you can't even tolerate some ambiguity and irregularities for 10 minutes, you always maintain this bad temper tantrum, you always work on your temperamental emotion, that's your personality. You missed out this big opportunity of learning about the Buddha's teaching. You missed out this big opportunity of learning to walking the path of enlightenment. You missed out this big opportunity of going beyond life and death. You missed this opportunity of cultivating the wisdom. So causation is very important. Personality. What makes up your personality? What composed your personality? It's all the karma put together. Your karma cultivates your personality. Bad personality, good personality. So bad karma gives rises to bad personality, and good karma gives rises to good personality. So you must learn karma, the concept of karma, the concept of moral causation. So the right understanding means you got to learn moral causation. Everything in this world is more or less determined by cause and effect. The fact that you're coming here today, first-time comers, if this is the first time, there's so many causes put together that you can come here. First of all, opportunities allow you to have the free time of coming here. Second, nobody objects to you coming here. Thirdly, your car didn't break down on your way. Thirdly, your car is not out of order. There's so many causes put together. And fourthly, you have the tolerance, you have the patience, and you have the learning drive. You have that pursuit for the spiritual odyssey of getting more wisdom. Maybe you are shunning materiality and you're looking for spirituality. You want to get something more. So all these things causes put together, that's causation. And some people will say, how does this causation concept help me? Do you know how this causation concept helped you? Do you get any lesson out of causation? Just pick it from the air. Think about it. You don't really have to analyze deeply into causation. Causation is a very deep and profound concept. Just scratch the surface of causation. There's a cause to every effect. You want your family members to treat you nicely? Did you cultivate the cause of having someone treat you nicely? Do you smile to them? Do you treat them nicely? Do you render your compassion to them? Or you just want them to give compassion to you? Start to reform yourself first. Start that cause of cordial relationship with your family. Start from you. Start from yourself. Start to change yourself. Don't expect your wife to change first. Don't expect your child to change. Don't expect your husband to change. Don't expect your employers to change first. Change yourself first. Cultivate that cause in you first. Don't expect your grandchild to treat you, oh, grandmom, you are nice. If you didn't treat your grandchild nicely, if you don't love your grandchild, you think your grandchild will love you? Everything is reciprocated. So that's causation. You don't want to be fired in your job? You know what to do. Everything is causation. If you don't have a happy job, try to find out that cause. Maybe that cause traces back to last lifetime. Your supervisor doesn't treat you nicely. You're trying your best to please him. We have millions of lives before. Maybe you have been antagonizing him in some previous lifetime before. You didn't know about it. So all these things put together, then maybe you change another job. Or maybe you dissolve the antagony between you and the supervisors by constant forgiveness. I did the same thing to you last lifetime. I'm forgiving, and I'm forgiving. That dissolved the hatred. That dissolved the bad relationship. There's so many things in Buddhism. You pick something in your daily affair and have Buddhism apply to it, it works. It works perfect sometimes. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the right understanding. So, we must understand the meaning of karma, K-A-R-M-A. We must understand causation, causality, profound concepts. We must also understand observance of morality standard. We call it the sila. Nobody can meditate without observing precepts. Nobody can meditate without maintaining a good morality standard. Here I'm meditating to better myself, to get enlightenment, but I'm doing all sorts of bad deeds behind me. I'm lying, I'm stealing, I'm committing sexual misconduct, I'm drinking, I'm intoxicating myself, I'm treating my family members badly. You do all these bad deeds and you wanted to enlighten yourself with wisdom. Does that work? A tree with bad roots wouldn't grow, you know. Why don't you try to get rid of all the bad germs in the roots first? Dry them away first. So morality, observance of morality. So you got to know karma in right understanding. The first concept. Remember I talked about the Eightfold Path. The first one is right understanding. Of course, in the following 2 weeks, we're going to finish Eightfold Path. I'll be talking about right intention, right speech, right action, etc., and so on and so on. And after these 2 weeks, if we have opportunity and somebody suggested, we will be talking about the Diamond Sutra. If we can go into learning the Diamond Sutra, one of the most profound and important sutras in Prajnaparamita. We tried if we can put all the causes together, the causation together to make that come true. You never know. Every time when I was told to, when I was invited to give a lecture in Hong Kong, I always say my prayer every day to pray for the ripening of the opportunity. Because if you do something, there's always blockages in you. You want to go to Hong Kong to give a good lecture, there's always things that work against you, that you can't go or something happened. So I always say my prayers, this is going to be good. Giving a lecture to a lot of people, giving enlightenment of the Buddhist teaching to people, you need to clear away all these blockages in you so that you can go and do it. There's so many obstacles in the path of enlightenment. So when you are meditating, when you're learning, I've been going to the temple for years, and how come I'm still confronted with these obstacles? How come my job is not that good? How come I have these troubles and have mental defilements, and how come I have all these troubles in me? Those are the obstacles, because you're more conscious of them now. Previously, you were so ignorant that you were not even conscious of these obstacles. Now you're conscious of them, you slowly clear them away. So we have a saying that obstacles are access to thoroughfare. Defilements is bodhi. Mental defilements is enlightenment. Because you know it's defilement, you know it's dirt, you're going to get rid of it. You don't even know it is dirt, you don't know how. And you're not going to get rid of it. Imagine your clothes. You would get rid of the dirt when you know they are dirt. Of course, you've got a method of detergent. For people who don't even know dirt on their clothes, they can never get rid of them. So, the right understanding, it's understanding of the karma, observance of the morality standard, and abstinence from doing unwholesome deeds. What are these unwholesome deeds? Killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, slandering, harsh speech, vain talk, greediness, ill will, and wrong view. All these things, you don't do them. These are the basics for meditator. Have you observed them? Or you just talk about it? It's easy to talk about it. It's easy to talk about one thing and do one thing. So you put practice and theory together. And if you do that, you're treading the path to the sages. You're treading the path to happiness. You're treading the path of benefiting not only yourself, but all those surrounding you. You want to change all those surrounding you? Change yourself first. Complete that mission first of changing yourself. You can do it at the same time though. I'm changing myself at the same time, and I attempt to change others at the same time. That can be done too, simultaneously. But no one can change others without changing oneself first. I'm going to enlighten you, but I don't want to enlighten myself. Does that work? You don't even know what is enlightenment. So, let's carry on. That's right understanding. So, one should know all that. Causation, abstinence from doing wrong, bad deeds, and the observance of morality standard. Now, what do? Then, now, you try to understand yourself by purification of your mind. Development of the purification of the mind. Then we start to meditate. We call it meditation. A mind development with those foundations right on the ground, you start to meditate. And meditation has two perspectives. The first one is samatha, and the second one is vipassana. Samatha and vipassana. Samatha is what? Concentration. In the Chinese language is zi. Vipassana, in the common English language, is insightful meditation. In the Chinese language, we call it Guan. Samatha is training your concentration, and vipassana is training or your insight of wisdom. But let us briefly go through samatha. Remember, Lee said We watch the breath, in and out, in and out. Why do we choose one particular object and not many objects? Well, if your attention is dispersed over many objects or some objects that are easily observable, development of concentration will take a long time. It takes a longer time. And therefore, a meditator should limit the number of objects they are focusing on and choose a vivid object suitable to his or temperament. And we find out that this watching of the breath is very important. Counting the breath, watching the breath is almost like a universally acceptable and recognizable best way, one of the best way of meditation. And you can carry on this technique to a very high, advanced level. You don't have to say, oh, after watching my breath, so what? This is enough to go to the first jhana level. And the first jhana level, it's very profound. And some people say, it's just like drilling oil on the ground. And you drill a little bit, 6 foot down, and you say, what's next? I'm not going to have any oil. So I'm going to abandon this, I'm going to get another technique. You drill another 10 feet down and nothing there, no oil, and you abandon it and get another technique. That's not the way. Given that there's oil down there, you keep on drilling, one object will do. So, without going too deep into the method that Lee talked about, watching the breath and counting the in-breath only or the out-breath only, and that's the method. And we call it counting the breath. In the Chinese language, we call it 数 水 子 观 还 净. The 6 Dharma doors, 六妙门. So the first one is 数, which is counting. The 6 Dharma doors, what are the 6 Dharma doors? The 6 Dharma doors to meditation, to samatha and vipassana. The first one is counting the breath. The second one, following the breath. 水. The third one, concentration on one object. Samatha itself, concentration on one object. Now this concentration is different from the breath concentration now. This concentration is concentration, which I'm going to talk about in the next 5 minutes. But I just want to mention the names to you first. 子 Guan is insightful, or going a little step further. Huan, you can return to previous procedures. It's not a step by step. Once you know it, you can mix it together, 2 at the same time, or start going back to breath again. So the breath is the basic, very important procedure. Once you get into deeper and deeper, you say, going back to breath again. By that time, you're going to breath is different from the breath that you have taken, the method that you have taken in the beginning. In the beginning, you count your breath, but after 6 years, you go back to count your breath. It's not the same counting before. This counting is a much more profound counting. This is different from the original counting. Don't get bored with the basic. It's enough for your lifetime. So I said, Huan, returning. Jing is a combination of all the others, leading to a way to the intermediate goal of foregoing the subject and foregoing the object. No more object. Whenever there is an object, it's impure. When there's no object, you start to get pure. Because if there's object, there is a subject. There's also a subject and an object. When there's a subject and an object, there's hatred and love. There is rich and poor. There is discrimination. Whenever there is a subject and object, there's discrimination. This discrimination does not work in the true mind. You understand what I mean? Well, we carry on. After a while, we talk about counting. After a while, the meditator may observe that the physical sensation of the breath, that is, one should observe the next procedure by following the movement of the breath. We already finished the counting method. The second method, if we can distinctly segregate method by method, the next one is following the breath. When the breath comes in, you follow down up to the solar plexus, the belly button. You follow it and you sense its movement, you sense its heaviness, you sense its lightness, you sense its duration, it's long, it's short, you follow it. To develop awareness and concentration, one should observe the entire breath in 3 phases: its beginning, its middle, and its end. How does this breath begin? What is the middle part? What is the ending part? What is the intervening part in which the end closes and the beginning comes? In other words, what is that point at which the breath stops and the in-breath comes in? You're getting more detail and detail into it. And that's what we call following the breath. The second way, the second item, the second perspective. The meditator may also focus on the chakras. You have your chakras. What is the meaning of chakra? There are basically 7 chakras in our body. Chakra is the wheel of life. Chakra is a Sanskrit word, the wheel of life. In the Chinese language is lun, mai lun. There is, how many chakras are there together? Basically, there's, some people say 8, some people 9, and according to the Kundalini system, there are 7. What are these 7? The root chakra. The root chakra is right underneath. It's in between our reproductive organ and the anus, right just in the middle. That's the root chakra. The second chakra is where? It's just below the belly button, the solar plexus chakra. And then there's the heart chakra, the throne chakra, the brow chakra, and the crown chakra, which is at the top. The chakra vitalize the physical body and are associated with interaction of both a physical and mental nature. They are considered the loci of life energy. Points, locus, point, loci, all these different points. Or you can say the prana in the Sanskrit language, prana, P-R-A-N-A, prana. Or in the Chinese language, we call it qi. Qi. You understand qi? And which is to flow among all the pranas along pathway, and this pathway, this canal, this pathway, we call them nadis. Nadis in the Chinese language is jingmai, nadis. A nadi, N-A-D-I, a nadi, we call, sometimes we pronounce it as a nadi or nadi. A nadi is an energy channel in which prana energy flows and may connect the chakras. In Vipassana, you can concentrate on the chakra, not just on the counting. I can concentrate on the solar plexus, and beneath the belly button. So my object of concentration become not my breath. It can be any part of the chakras. In other words, no one can get concentration without getting into complete quietude, solitude. The qi would flow when you are in pure quietude. You can feel it. And according to the Chinese systems of Chinese medicine, once you get all the chakras, blockages clear, you'll live up to more than 100 years old. The people who live 125 years old, the average lifespan of a human being should really be about 100. And there are people who clear the blockages in those chakra who live up to 125 years old. Because the qi gives rise to the immune system in you, strengthen your immune system, and get all your bad things out of the body. But anyway, Buddhism is not concentrating on just lengthening of a lifetime. Buddhism is on the mind, not just on the body. But the mind affects the body. And sometimes we use the chakra as the object of meditation. All right? Now, so samatha develops concentration, is thus good in itself as it purifies the mind temporarily, and is thus a good foundation for vipassana meditation, which gradually develops into insight, rapture of joy, one-pointedness of mind. When you are a meditator for a long time, and some experience, you have the rapture of joy. In the Chinese language, we call it 清安, the rapture of joy, and one-pointedness of mind. In the Chinese language, we call it 一心净性, one-pointedness of mind. But that is a higher level. So after establishing awareness and concentration by observing the physical sensation of the breath, the meditator can observe either other mental material objects that arise moment to moment in the body of mind, such as seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking. But anyway, I think we are out of time.